Welcome to Elevation Nation with your hosts Sam Panich and Parker Yablon. Elevation Nation is a community focused on bringing together young adults who are elevating themselves and others every day. Each week, we welcome a new elevator to share their story and experiences to help you conquer the real world. What's going on, Elevation Nation? It's good to be back with some great people today that we met down in Asheville, North Carolina when we were back in Camp Collab in October 2025. Esther and Aaron, the co-founders and siblings who are running CampHire Recruiting. We are so grateful that you guys, first of all, that we met you down in Asheville. We had a great time, as well as we're so happy and just grateful to have you here today to have a conversation about what you guys are building, but more importantly, talk about what life as co-founders, but also siblings. Let's talk realness as entrepreneurs. We're going to get into it. Esther, Aaron, welcome to the pod. How you guys doing?
Thanks, man. We're good. We're
Doing
excited to be
great.
here too.
This is a long time coming. We loved your guys' energy down in Asheville, and so it's perfect. The podcast is just an excuse for us to hang out again and have more conversations. We just happen to be recording it, so we're excited to get to chat with you both again today. But this is Elevation Nation, and while we know all about you two, everyone else listening does not. So we're going to give you an opportunity to give us a little elevator pitch on, of course, who you are as individuals, but of course, what you've built together.
Let's
do it.
Aaron, you want to hit it?
I'm taking this one. All right. She always defers to me when it comes to this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Esther and I grew up together. We're both from Boston. And we grew up going to a summer camp in New Hampshire called Camp Yavna, a small Jewish camp. And it totally defined us. Like, that's how I'd put our whole identities still, I'd say, are like, how do we create camp moments where people just feel at ease, where everybody's family, where, like you're in touch with the outdoors and your spirituality. So it really had an impact on our identity. We, after camp, went and lived totally separate lives. Esther was a teacher for a long time. I worked at American Express for a long time. We now have kids, but we married like our sort of camp sweethearts. Esther married Jake, who like literally when they were at camp. I married Anna, who I was in touch with after camp. But anyway, it's kind of just all like, we just hang out with camp people constantly. It's what we talk about quite a bit. And there was always sort of this pull of like, yeah, you guys are doing your own thing. You have lives, but camp is just looming out there. And Esther, on one of her parental leaves, decided that she wanted to start a business serving camps.
Yeah.
We didn't know what that business was. And she came to me and was like, what should we do? And I was like, I don't know, man, just figure it out. And I told her, go find a co-founder. And a couple months later, she didn't. She came back to me, and together we figured out what to do, and we started CampHire together. Esther, maybe tell a little bit about how the hell you've landed on this.
Yeah. So I was teaching for many years. I taught elementary school for like 7 years. I was on mat leave for my first son. And it was just like my mind was just started to be creative, different from ever before because I wasn't in a full-time job. So I'm like feeding my kid, thinking of all these ideas. How do we get back to camp? And it started off as an idea that was more specific to camp counselors, like how do we help train them and develop them? And very quickly, camp directors were like, dude, we can't even get the camp counselors. Like, we need to move backwards from training them. How do we get them? And Aaron and I just totally changed our entire idea and business into recruiting for summer camp. So we started off doing counselors, chefs, nurses seasonally, and now most of our business is all executive recruitment. So any full-time year-round executive directors, camp directors, nonprofit leaders. So the business has taken lots of different shapes since the beginning, since the inception of the idea. Now it's pretty solid. Like now we totally know what we're doing, and we're not going to stray too far from what we're already our core of our business, but we're always taking on new ideas, trying new things. But yeah, and then I'll also say that throughout this, Aaron and I have been doing it about 6 years. We feel super established at this point, but we're always doing different jobs on the side, or sometimes doing this full time, or hiring other people to do it full time. So it's a journey in the sense of how do we keep this as a sacred business where it's also fun, balancing that with like, what's our income? Where is it coming from? How do we like make sure we're in the right spot for the business and ourselves in terms of our career paths?
So, just so the audience knows, so basically, you guys partner with a camp who is looking for, I guess in this case, maybe a new director, and they'll
Yeah.
come to you and say, "Hey, Aaron, Esther, you guys have a lot of connections, or go find the exact person that we're looking for."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, basically. So we're an agency, right? We partner with all different types of camps, overnight day camp, really across the U.S. Like denomination or not, all boys or girls doesn't matter, and we find them their top leaders. Yeah. So if they're looking for a new director, assistant director, sometimes it's like operations people or nonprofit leaders, and so we are the agency that will go out and source candidates, interview candidates, kind of put together a whole strategy for the camp. Um, but to back up slightly, the camp industry is underserved in that sense. I'm sure you guys know, these big Fortune 500 companies, of course, they're going to use an agency. Everyone knows what a recruiting agency is and what it does and the value, and camps are not there yet. So, the way beginning of our pitch to a camp is actually explaining exactly this, like why they need us, why is it important. Um, Sometimes minds are blown that they would even spend this much money on this type of service, because it's not something that camps are used to doing. But on the flip side of that, camp directors, if you find the right one, often stay for a long time. So the investment makes a lot of sense in this industry. We hope directors stay. Sometimes they don't. That's just the name of the game. But so it's really starting with the education of like, you hope every, whatever, 5, 10 years when you have a new director, it's worth it to hire us to help you find the right person. And it's starting with that education, even before like the pitch.
Well, I
So,
think
oh, go ahead,
oh, go
Sam.
ahead, Parker. I was gonna say, I think there's this new era, to your point, Esther, of camps being run significantly more like efficient businesses, right? For a
Mhm.
long time before I was born, because I'm so young and hip and cool, but the era before that, the camp world was a little bit more localized, maybe a little bit chiller. You went to camp there. It was very typical. You wanted a summer job to hang out with your friends. You all became counselors together. And then some people didn't want to go into the real world and they became camp directors. They married their camp sweetheart and they bought or took over the camp. And that cycle, I think, happened every couple decades.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing new trends in the camp industry, such as camp conglomerates, where there are bigger investment companies pooling together their funds, their resources, their training to help with camps. You see recruiters like yourselves being utilized more and more, and technology being implemented throughout camps, as we've seen with some of our sponsors of Camp Collab, right? And so
Yep.
that's exciting for us as Parker and I grew up for our real jobs in the corporate world. So it's cool now to see camp, even though it's probably what, 10 years behind cutting edge, at least starting to adopt that world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. We've seen it even in the production of CampHire. Like year 1, it's like, we want the rah-rah person who can like stand up with the microphone. And now it's like, who can run a P&L? Who can get our development and donors in line? And it's like a totally business-oriented interview rather than, can you put on a costume and talk to the dining hall?
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I mean, I grew up at a camp to Sam's point, like where, the directors took over because they were friends or they thought they saw an opportunity to take that over and then they ran it for 20, 25 plus years. And then the next people who took over, grew up at camp as staff members and they thought that they were the right people to take on the helm. And I mean, the whole industry is evolving. What do you think has changed in the last like 5 or so years that has like made camps like look to the way you guys think about hiring that maybe they haven't thought about before?
Mhm. I think COVID was a wake up call for everyone. It started there. And I think quickly, like camps realized, oh, we're not as good, we're not as well off financially as we thought we were, right? Like taking a year off crushed some businesses, and camps are still just trying to dig out, right? They lost like a year of staff in there, they lost donors, they lost a year of revenue. They're like just still digging out. So that's number one. Number two, which is nothing new, but it has really accelerated in the past few years, is just camps have this big technology gap where there's such an in-person experiential business that the technology aspects of finding a candidate or finding the right candidate, they just don't have the know-how or the expertise to do it. And when we talk to camp directors, like what I describe to them is nothing revolutionary. Like people recruiting is done in every business, and we're not even doing it so differently. We're using the same tools and platforms that Google uses and American Express uses, but those are unheard of in camp, right?
Mhm.
An applicant tracking tool that's dedicated towards sourcing candidates is unheard of in camp.
Right.
I think back to like I started my career at Macy's in their development program, and every season we would hire. This was in New York City. We'd hire like 5,000 seasonal workers to work in that building, and Macy's in general hired like 1.5 million. Like it was nuts. And camp's on the same level. There's 1.2 million camp jobs every year, and we're doing it on spreadsheets. Like honestly, that's how camps are doing this. They're just figuring out their local networks, who shows up, spreadsheet here, spreadsheet there. They don't have good resources or budgets or technology to make this happen, and they end up scrambling. And that could be applied to the seasonal business or when they have a camp director gap and they just don't understand how like the world works now with recruiting. And I'd say for any top level job, there are a million applicants, but if you don't have the right screening systems, the right tools, the right technology stack, you're inundated and you can't actually
Overwhelmed.
find the 1% that are qualified. We are very good at identifying the 1% that are qualified. And when they don't come through, like Indeed, we go out and find them.
Yeah.
So, Esther and our team bring, like a decade worth of professional sourcing from places like Google and other startups where this is the name of the game. Like your best candidate is found because you went out, found them, pitched them, got them in, and that like changes the whole business.
Yeah, it's also
So
fucking hard.
that's what we
It's
do.
so hard to find these
It's
people.
fucking hard.
That's
Yeah,
what it
this
is.
isn't easy.
I mean, like, okay, I maybe this is like your secret sauce, but like, where are you going to find these types of people? Are you like scrolling around on LinkedIn? Do you guys have your own like AI sourcing tool? Do you have, connections to people in the camp industry? I imagine that you're possibly even looking at people who want to be, a director who works in corporate and kind of wants to take a step back. Like, where are you guys going to find all these people?
Yeah, yeah, it's all the things that you just mentioned, so to be honest, it's all of them, but I'll tell you, like, a quick story where there's a candidate that we have in process somewhere at a camp that we're supporting. This is a candidate that I was in touch with 2 years ago for a different role. So it's like those types of connections circle back a lot, and it's like I remember these candidates, and I'm like, "Who is that person? Who is that person?" I look up in our applicant tracking tool, and I resurface them, so, like, that's one way, but dude, AI has changed the game. Like, I'm more than a whiz than I ever thought I would be. I'm not the most technology savvy person. I create custom GPTs for every client that we have, and I feed it. I feed it candidate profiles that I think would be a great match. I feed it past candidates who've interviewed but were close and didn't get it, and I just ask the GPT to surface candidates for me, and then I go get them and I go source them that way. And the more I feed it, of course, the more it knows. But I'll upload our pitch call with them. I'll upload like we define core competencies of what they're looking for. I'll upload all of that into a custom GPT, and it is a game-changing sourcing tool. And it takes a very long time to get your GPT up and running, but once you are, it starts to hum. Like it's a lot of upfront work, but it's changed my sourcing game 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I think to add to that, like this word sourcing that we're talking about, like you both might be familiar with that term. Like I source a candidate. It's it's a career path in the tech industry and other so this is a very unique skill. We look for good sourcers on our team. We have one person on our team right now, Leah, who is like a sourcing wizard. Like that's what she does best. She finds us unbelievable people, and she just grinds on LinkedIn. And Esther grinds on GPT, and I'm grinding on every other like platform that's out there to try to surface profiles. Now that we're in year 6, we have a database. So we have
Yeah.
20,000 camp professionals in our database. Camp professionals, loose term, people who work at camp in our database that we can surface. But this is a relationship business. Like when you hire us, within the first like 5 minutes, we probably know if we have a short list for you. Like within the first 5 minutes, you're describing like, oh, I'm some camp in the middle of nowhere, blah blah blah, and we're a trip leading camp and all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, well, I have 3 people right now that I could present. Like that's where it gets to. So recruiting is one of those things that just builds. Like it's you're getting like better returns as you go.
Right.
And I think we're reaching like our stride right now where we could pull people out of a hat and we don't have to go crazy with the level of sourcing that we once did.
You guys are talking a lot about, obviously the camps that hire you are looking for specific roles, a key part of recruiting. The other side of recruiting that Parker and I probably think about more is when recruiters hit us up asking us about potential opportunities. Talk to us a little bit about that side of the coin. Now you guys have 20,000 people in your database. Parker alluded to this trend, and it was a question I wanted to ask you both. Parker as a camp guy and me as a new adopted camp guy. We love being in the camp world. Are you seeing trends of more corporate Americana, normal people saying, you know what? I want to go do something different and go take my business knowledge to the camp world? Or is that trend not fully hit? Because if it hasn't, Parker and I would like to figure out how to invest in that, because I think with AI and people just being so sick and tired of staring at their screens all day, there is going to be a huge uptick as people start to lose their jobs of wanting to return back to human-centric businesses.
I hope that happens. We haven't seen that yet.
Interesting.
That's not there yet.
Hmm.
What we do see is a whole bunch of unqualified people applying to every single job out there because they downplay the business of camp. Like they're literally right. We have that same conversation we just had. It's like, yeah, I went to camp. I got this. I went to camp, right? And Esther and I joke, but like the camp director of the camp we went to was a physical therapist, and she became the camp director and had like a 30-year epic run.
Wow.
And so it's like doable, right? Like fuck all this other bullshit. That is doable. What we are seeing is that the pool for qualified camp directors who have the balance of rah-rah spirit that Esther was talking about and the business of camp is very, very small, because you really don't get both. Like it's very rare that you'll find somebody who led a great corporate life and ran a business and then says, "Yep, I'm going to jump back into camp." I hope we see that. I hope it's coming soon.
You know where we see it more? On a board. Boards of nonprofits, people who wanna give back to a camp they went to, and they can be like C-level executives at really large companies, and they'll take time out to be on a board, but not like as a full-time employment.
I hope that starts to change. I think back, one of my most impactful high school teachers, he was a big corporate lawyer in downtown Chicago, was miserable, quit, and became the most popular world history teacher at my high school. And it's like,
Yeah.
that always inspires me, that trend. And obviously Parker and I, it's something that we're very passionate about, and why we do this on the side is I want people to maybe not only look at the paycheck or the prestige, but look at what fulfills them and fills their cup
Mhm.
up. So fingers crossed. I hope that trend
Yeah.
starts. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it also camp's an unique circumstance, right? Because you're probably in a camp in a middle of nowhere, and you have to uproot your normal life if you live near a city or whatnot, and be there for, let's call it 4 or 5 months at most, and then probably go back to the office that you're in during the off season. So, like, is that something that you find that people are like, hey, yeah, like I have the skills, I have the camaraderie, but the lifestyle sounds good, but it's also, you're uprooting your life 6 months out of the year.
Yeah, we actually, like, push our clients pretty hard on that one, where we are really trying to slowly move the needle that there should be remote camp jobs. Like, we push our clients, we're like, "Why do you need someone to be on site all the time? Like, don't you have a site manager?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Great, so you're gonna affect every candidate and where their kid goes to school and where their spouse is gonna work?" Like, no, let them work remote if they're the right talent. They can still live at camp in the summer, right? You don't think about how much that affects someone's entire livelihood and their entire family. Like, most of these people have families, right? We're not going sometimes there's new career people, but they're not usually taking those top spots. And if you really, really push people, there isn't necessarily a reason why they have to live on site. And
It's because
people
that's
in the
how it has
industry.
been done,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Camp is very much a legacy.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
what do you mean? This is our spirit. This is what we do. We've always
They
done
have
it
to
this
be there.
way.
They have to be
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um we get a lot of, like, I don't know what the word, maybe, like, frowns when we say this, but we say that, like, housing isn't a perk. And in most, like, offer letters or even, like, postings for camp, it's like housing included, so we're gonna make the job 20K less because you have housing. We're like, housing is not a perk when it's in the middle of nowhere, and you're the one doing them a favor because if something breaks, you're around. Like, it's not a perk. So we're trying to flip that flip that backwards and be like, that's not a reason to, like, lower a salary. We should actually let people live wherever the hell they want, wherever they wanna send their kids to school, wherever they wanna live.
I think it's important though that, you guys are helping almost train these clients, these camps to be a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only way that, I'm a new lover and appreciator of the camp world, right? For what it does for young people, especially when we look at where every other job is going right now, where kids are just not able to socialize. They don't have the people skills. I think there's no better place to learn that than camp.
Yeah.
So whatever we need to do
Mhm.
to keep more camps around and alive, and in my opinion, that's getting them up to snuff on technology that saves them money and makes them more money, people that will help them get the right candidates, like whatever we need to do to
Yep.
keep that happening, like that's what we need to do. So thank you guys for helping educate these sometimes lovely but stubborn old school human beings who again, we love, but you guys are old
Totally.
school. It's time to modernize a bit.
Yeah. That's why we're in this. We're going through this big brand refresh right now. We have a new website coming out really soon, and we wrote tons of new copy, and we had like a whole bunch of reflection where we're like, why the hell do we even do this, right? Like, we had full time jobs like for the past 6 years. We have 5 kids between the two of us, couple dogs. Like our lives are full already, and we hustle, 6 p.m. to midnight every night, or 9 p.m. to midnight on this every night. And at the end of the day, it comes down to like we genuinely feel like the the success of camps is dependent on leadership, and I think it's at risk. Like, I think more and more as I look around, I'm like, if we can't find damn good people to run camps in the future and keep it thriving, the whole industry is at risk. And a part of what we do is education. Part of what we do is just go find those people, bring them to camp, pitch them on the vision for it, and start attracting top talent to camp again. And I think, one by one, we're doing like 6 to 8 placements a year. We're getting some really cool people into the camp world.
I love that you touched on that, Aaron. It's almost like you read my mind on where we were gonna go next because I had a question all around leadership. And I mean, you guys, to your point, you have a database of 20,000 people. You probably have met many camp leaders throughout the years, and you've been in this now for 6 years or so. And so, my question for you guys is what's like a leadership trait that the camp industry prioritized in 2020, 2021 that actually is like going on the wayside now and like there's maybe even a new trait that camps are looking for?
If I think about like what does a camp need right now, marketing is huge. Like this is becoming a highly competitive industry where it kind of used to not, right? Kind of used to be hyper localized. You go where your friends go. Um, I think, prior to 2020, it was like, tradition was important, programming was important, and it didn't really matter how your website looked or how your social media looked. And I just think like in this day and age, that person, like, when we're hiring people, it's like, have you run a campaign before? Do you understand how to use Canva? Do you know how to put together a content calendar? And these are questions that just probably were not asked 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that every camp director needs these skills, but it needs to be on their radar. Um, because I think what's happening right now is that a few camps are rising to the top and are super competitive. And there's a bunch of really, really amazing programs out there, nonprofit programs, sort of, give back camps that are just struggling. They're struggling in that department because they don't have the investment level or the resources to make that happen. And that's a shame. So I think, every camp that we meet with, like one of the core evaluation criteria that we put on there is camper recruitment, marketing, social media. That's the future of driving revenue to your business. And if you don't have that hacked, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think the word, like, camper recruitment just means something different now. Like, that used to be, like, going to people's houses and running, like,
hmm,
small get-togethers, and then you get a few people. Camper recruitment is now just so much bigger than that. It is marketing. It's the same thing as saying marketing.
it most certainly is. We see the most impressive camps showcase what makes their camp so special. And marketing and social media is so big on that. I obviously have to plug one more thing that Parker and I believe is extremely important that the top camps are investing in, which is developing their people. Right. And so you guys know we speak around the country to those top camps that see the value. Parker and I aren't here to convince these camps that professional development is worth it. You go to any corporation in America, they invest in their people to show that they care and to upskill them. And so Parker and I, with Elevation Nation, we do that for the top camps to show that they are investing in their people and to help them get the most out of their staff throughout the summer. So I think both camps that market well and also prove that they care about their people are going to be the ones that continue to climb to the top.
Yeah. I mean, staff retention is a hot word that's used everywhere. It's not our business. We know nothing about it. We pass off and that's it, but, like, it's a hot topic. People that those are, like, buzzwords that you hear at every conference, camp conference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's interesting what we hear. Like the questions that come up when we're interviewing candidates are kind of like unrelated to camp in a sense. They're more related to life, and I think the camps that have figured that out and are catering towards like how what your life goals are doing this at a much higher level than the ones that are just like, yeah, it's camp. So like an example is there are some camps that are offering internship programs and accreditation programs at camp. Like good on you for figuring that out. Um, there are camps right now that are offering way more flexibility in the way that they used to, right? It used to be like you're signing up for 1 or 2 months and you better be here the entire time. I don't care if your sister's getting married, you're not going. So there are camps now that are figuring out how to have a more flexible model to give people space and kind of allow them to like pursue the other interests that they have in their life. And so this element of like, we as camps need staff more than they need us right now. Like that is a big thing. The average university kid has lots of options. They can go on Indeed and apply to like 30 jobs in one click. And the camp industry just doesn't pay enough to have this be like a transaction. It needs to be an investment in people and an investment in their life. As you said, like it's really hard to showcase this. There are some people who are doing it really well. The average camp likely needs to give a little more focus on this topic.
That's such a good point. It's like, how do you create the incentive for someone to want to go to camp? And maybe financial can't be the number one because we all know that there's other places that people can go to make more money. I do have a question though, like off the topic of camp hire in general and camp. But you guys have been building this thing for now 6 years. Aaron, I know when we were sitting at the bar down in Nashville, you were telling me that you're leaving your job at American Express, and you guys are now full-time entrepreneurs, right? Maybe you've always been entrepreneurs, but now full-time. We've
Totally.
interviewed over 250 people on our podcast. I'd say 85% of them are entrepreneurs. It's a grind. It's a
Yeah.
hustle. It looks good in social media, and when you do something great, people applaud you, but obviously the people don't see the grind behind the scenes that goes into building up a business. And so my question for both of you is, what has that been like for you now that you have more control of your time? You said you both have families and kids and dogs, and you want to be able to spend time with the ones that you love, but also you have, your livelihood of this business on the line. So what's it been like for you guys?
Yeah, it's still a fucking grind. It's 6 years later. It's never not. We're always up late. Like, people are like, "How do you do it? Like, how do you do all this?" And you're like, first of all, we love it. Second of all, like, you just gotta fucking grind until you make it, and we're just on we're like we're on the cusp, right? Like we have steady business. Our like CampHire is growing. Like we're still looking to scale, but I think it's always going to be a hustle. Even if you were to sell your business and be that successful, I just think when it's your own, you're still hustling. Like, we have really late nights. Like sometimes in the heat of our seasons, we're up till 1 a.m. because that's just what you do because every hire matters. Everything makes a difference. Um, I think the biggest thing for me is that a lot of the time I've held 2 very different roles. One is being, like, founder of a company, and the other is being just a regular employee at a large company. Like, I spent time at Google, I spent time at Etsy, I've done some startups, and there were times when I was doing both, where my code switching between being, like, the junior person taking orders to, like, the hopping on a meeting truly 5 minutes after that type of meeting where I'm giving the orders and or taking on the leadership or leading a team and pitching a client truly within a minute of each other. Like, that code switch happened for years where I was doing both at the same time. But honestly, it's what kept it real. It's what made me not ever lose sight of how important both of those roles are. Because when you're doing both at once, you respect the people that work for you more. And when you're working for someone, you also realize when you're in a good situation, when you have a good leader, when you have all the resources that you need, but I think it's a very unique thing that I've gone through in my career where, like I was a teacher for many years and then I switched to tech recruiting, at Google at an entry level, which is a great level to start. It's Google, it's the mothership, you know? But at the same time building CampHire and sitting in meetings where, with our marketing team or, we're rebranding. So talking with these amazing people on how they can help service us and bring our brand and elevate our brand. And at the same time, I'm the one that, your boss is like, "Okay, so, like, how many candidates are in the pipeline?" So you're just dragging those numbers and, like, surfacing them so that she can report them to leadership. So it's just doing both at once is, humbling, exciting. I wouldn't change it because the perspective is unbelievable. Um, Now CampHire is full time. I do still take on consulting jobs sometimes. Like I just did a consulting gig for like 2 months where I was helping a startup in the Boston area, just like build their systems, their automation, like behind the scenes camp stuff. Sorry, not camp stuff, recruiting stuff. Um, so I still do that because it just gives me the perspective and sort of like fuels my leadership with CampHire. Um, I don't know if I answered your question, but it took me there.
I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that like CampHire's built on like taking the best of some of the best companies in the world and creating a little startup from it. And I always looked at like Esther working at Google or me working at American Express as like, this is your MBA. Like
Right,
go and learn and literally everything you take, bring it back and infuse it into what we're building at CampHire. And I think that that's how the end product got to be where it's so good. Like we
yep,
have incredibly high standards. We're super polished because we kind of like grew up in a high performance culture, and when you take a high performance culture and then you apply it to something like camp, which is a looser setting, they're like you're sort of elevating the whole industry in that way by professionalizing it. So I always look at that, and when Esther takes on these gigs, I'm like, yes, go do that. Right? You're going to learn. You're going to get something from them that you're going to take back here in our next client pitch. You're going to say, well, I was just in this call with somebody else in a different context. Here's the external perspective and how and why we do things at Campfire. So I think that's critical. Um, as far as like growing and building a business, I often think I'm like, when you're doing something on the side, like at what year are you actually in? Like 6 years of doing it on the side versus 1 year of doing it full time. Like I think we're maybe 2 years into this business, like really in full time terms, and we just have a list of stuff that we want to get to. And I often think like, how long are we putting it off for? And how much money are we leaving on the table by not going and tackling that list of like could be items? So that's what motivates me as I sit here today to be like, I just can get to this stuff now. And
right.
that's what's fun. What's unique about our business is that we are siblings, and this is like a no bullshit business. Like there's no formal meetings, there's no long email threads, there's no politicking or posturing. This is just like you get
0.
on and you work and you're direct. And I think that obviously works very well for Esther and I. We're efficient. We have a nighttime business. Like if I'm an entrepreneur if I'm someone that has a full-time job and I'm thinking about how could I become an entrepreneur, find a nighttime business. I think CampHire is largely that. Like we don't need to be available during business hours every single day. But back to sort of like working at night, like we've brought on some people that are working during the day And we're
Right.
sort of like, well, we work at night. Do you mind joining us at 8 p.m.? And it's not for everybody, but it's something they kind of had to learn that like this is just how we operate. It's unique to to our business, but it's really what's helped the whole thing work.
Yeah.
It's a great insight into the realness of entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship is so often painted as the sexiest thing. And
Nah.
while it certainly has some pros, it's a grind. It's hard. Most of the time, I'm slamming my head into the wall and calling Parker and going, "What the hell are we doing, man? Like,
Yeah, you
what
guys doing it too. You're
is
doing the
going
exact same
on?"
shit we're doing.
And
Yeah.
it is, there's nothing I would rather do more, though. It brings me such fulfillment to be able to build something with someone I'm so close with. And so it's beautiful that you guys are in the same exact boat. I want to move us
All
into
right.
our rapid fire segment. We got a bunch of fun questions to ask you. I'm going to kick it off. Parker and I are best friends. You guys are siblings. Who's first to yell at the other one?
Ooh. I've
I
never
don't
yelled at
I don't
you.
ye- I don't yell that much, but
Oh, you guys
you
are so mature.
I
you
don't yell at you.
neither of us yell, but you are quick to call out when I'm being a dick.
Oh,
And
I will call him and be like, "You undermined me in that meeting. That was fucking annoying." He'll be like, "Yeah, sorry. I won't do it next time." Moving
yeah.
There you
on.
go.
I very clear and to the point immediately.
Yeah. And that's part of our family culture. Like nothing there's no passive aggression. It's like if you're a dick, you're gonna hear about it like now. So
Yeah, we
Yeah.
recently had a
and
thing about where we were doing our website, and I really didn't like a specific feature, and he was like, "Let's just let the person we hired do it for us." And then I called him after, and I was like, "No, I care about that feature. I let you talk about this shit that I don't you don't
yeah,
you
I
know,
was
I
trying to
don't care about."
steamroll you. I was trying to steamroll you because I didn't like the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, and we whatever. We landed the plane. It was fine. I got what I wanted to.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Compromise.
it's better than not talking about it, and then there's a lot of like stuff that you want to
Yep.
say, and then you're not like that's great. Transparency is good. Sam and I sometimes we feel a certain way, and we're like, all right, well, I don't need to say because it'll piss off Sam. But other times we're straight up,
Straight.
Mhm.
very straight up, because you got to keep moving. And if
Yeah.
you're straight up and you don't take it personally, great. This is like if it's for the business, it's for the better of what we're doing. Let's just get it out and move forward. All
Yeah.
Immediately.
right,
One of
next
the
rapid
things
fire.
that
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Aaron.
sorry. One of the things that I've come to really appreciate in people I work with now that I'm, I don't know, 38 years old. I need people who can like manage tension, who can handle tension. And I find that like occasionally I'll work with somebody and it's like the littlest thing sets them off, and I'm just like, we're not going to do well together. You have to be able to like absorb it and run with it. And luckily, the people we surrounded ourselves with CampHire, like they get it.
Yeah.
You know.
That's great. I love it. All right, next question that we got for you. Uh, I like this one. This was a fun one. So, if you could download one specific personality trait or like experience into every person that you place with a camp, which is that trait that you're
You want me to
picking
come up
from?
with this on the spot?
Oh yeah, this is rapid fire.
I'll start. I think being funny and having humor is so underrated. It's just like when you work with people who can have a good laugh, it changes everything. Um, so that's I would start there. And camp's one of those places where like we just can't take ourselves too seriously. As much as we are talking about a strategic master plan, like this is camp, guys. Like there's also going to be like color war in a little while. We're gonna, so humor's huge. Not everybody has it. You definitely can't force it upon people, but yeah, that it is something that we sort of probe. Like we have every candidate do a presentation, and I'm looking for like, could they engage the room? Could they manage the audience? Could they find the right places to add a little bit of cute flair to get people laughing or smiling? It's just so underrated.
I'll let him take that for both of us.
I think it echoes when, Parker and I get a lot of young Maryland Terrapin graduates that reach out
Mm,
to us and ask how they can get a job in Big Four consulting. And often I say, don't worry about the skill sets that you think you need. You don't need to learn how to code. You don't need to learn how to design right now. Do I want to grab a beer with you after work?
yeah.
If the answer is no, that's what I want you to work on. Figure out how to be a more personable human being because those are the skill sets that are most important.
Yeah, it's the emotional intelligence
Yeah,
piece.
exactly, which is
Yeah.
harder to teach unless
Wait,
you go to camp. Then you can learn it.
all
Good
right,
say I love
Esther,
it. Good
if
plug.
you're not gonna answer that question, I got another one for you. I saw
All
you
right,
went
put
to
me on the hot seat.
Indiana. We got a big football game tonight. What are we thinking?
Okay,
How's it end up?
I don't like sports. I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm just gonna leave it there. However, my kids know they know about IU, they can sing the song, it is a big game. Aaron and I have a group of friends, like, as adults, with our kids, and 3 of them happen to have gone to Indiana, so I found a new spirit, I would say in the past, like, month, where we're, like, getting together and watching football games and listening to the songs and wearing the shirt, so it's new for me that like, watching some Indiana football. That's as far as I can go.
Well, it's kinda new for everybody. Like,
I
you
was about
guys
to
used to
say,
go to the
I think it's a
Fair,
tailgates,
lot.
so
fair.
It's new for everyone.
No, but, like, in college, like, game time was nap time. Like, I'm gonna tailgate hard and
Yep.
then go take a nap. I'm not going to the game. That was who I was.
Hey, we went to Maryland. We were
Yeah,
not very good at football either, so
yeah.
it's the exact same thing. All right, we're getting into our last question of the evening. It is all around a mental motto. That's a phrase, a quote, a slogan that you lead your life by. Sam and I have given out thousands of mental mottos at our speaking events, and every single person who joins Elevation Nation has a mental motto. So, Esther, we'll start with you.
Yep.
What's your mental motto?
Alright, my mental motto is, "If you can't get out of it, get into it." So I'll have to give credit, it's a Peloton instructor who uses that one. Um, but I'm gonna explain to you, like, how this kind of helps me in my life, and then I can bring it back to campfire. So, um, recently, my husband and I had a banger for Hanukkah at our house, adult only, massive party. It was very fun. We had, like, specialty cocktails made, we, like, rearranged our house, it was great. The next morning, I had to go to a fucking, like, 6-year-old birthday party, like, hungover, it was awful. So I'm, like, I'm driving my kid, and I'm like, "If I can't get out of this, I'm gonna get into it." It was one of those, like, bouncy house parties, whatever. I'm, like, taking my shoes off, I'm racing these kids, I'm, like, in the fucking bouncy houses, and all the other parents are just, like, hanging around schmoozing, which is usually what I would do, but I was like, "I need to get into this if I can't get out of it." And it was fun, a ton of fun. Like, my son had the time of his life, and all of his friends were, like, all chasing each other. I was sweating after. Um so that's just, like, how I use it. There are so many times in our life where, like, we can't get out of something, and it's just, like, sitting in our brain of, like, "Oh, I have to do this thing, or I have to go to this party," and we can't get out of it. So just, like, go hard, right? It's so easy to get really into things that we know we love and that we know that we're good at. And if we flip that and try even harder to go, get deep and enjoy and then, like, elevate ourselves for things that we don't like, it just brings new skill, new perspective. So how do I use that in CampHire? I'll use, our seasonal business as an example. So, the core of our business is now executive recruitment. It's where we make our fucking money. Like, we get some great paychecks when we make a full-time hire, but camps continuously need seasonal, and it's a bitch to deal with. Like, we don't wanna hear about the camp counselor who never showed up because they didn't send in their camp references, and we have to chase them down. Like, don't care about this person. But we continuously get inquiries for seasonal recruitment. I would do anything to get out of it. If there was someone else who could take that away and run a business for seasonal, I would give it to you. But instead, we are getting so into it. Aaron and I are investing in it. We created last year a whole new platform where camps can come on and sort of like service themselves. We hired a development person to help us with it. We're this year again. We are investing more in seasonal than we have ever before. We've gotten into more automation. We're trying to solve problems with seasonal recruitment even more so than executive. So it's just an example of, like, we can't get out of it. We have to service our camps. We have to give them what they need. So we're going to get into it. We're going to try and solve the problem. We're gonna try to make it easier for us, and hopefully we enjoy it, but it's just like get into it as much as you can. It's not going away. Develop it as much as you can. Um, so that's my motto, both at, campfire and at 6-year-old hungover birthday parties.
I love it. Aaron, your mental motto.
my mental motto is, "It doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful." And I say that to myself, I don't know, at least once a week. Um, and I think it applies to sort of running a startup as well, where you want things to be perfect and you want to, like, wait until things are perfect. And I find, like, that's my typical flaw is, like, I need one more week to review it. And I think reminding yourself that like only you know what perfection looks like, and it doesn't have to be perfect because what you're doing is awesome most of the time, and letting it fly is huge. And so that's something I totally live by, and we've definitely brought to CampHire as well. Does not have to be perfect to be wonderful. We're doing awesome shit all the time. Harping over perfection usually gets in the way of progress.
Can I comment on his?
Of course.
I think that motto has led us to be able to test things much earlier than we would have, get the feedback we need, and change it faster. Even
Mm,
within 1 season, even within 1 year, where
yeah.
if he didn't have that motto, I would've been like, "It's not ready yet. Don't release it. It's gonna give us a bad name." But instead, it's like we just collected data in the moment to make it better immediately that we would never have done otherwise.
It's the power of a simple phrase that you could write on a piece of paper, and Sam and I are so passionate about it because to your point, like you're grounded in this principle and how you run, whether it's your business or your life. And while it's just a couple words, to your point, Esther, it's like it's helped you guys actually grow the
Yeah.
business. And so
Mhm.
Sam and I believe a simple motto like that can make a difference, whether it's in business or in life in general. Guys, this was fun.
It's
45
awesome.
minutes in, crazy that it went that fast. Aaron's like, the sun has come down
Dude,
on
it's so
Aaron
dark.
He looks
throughout the
That
whole
was
course of
ridiculous,
the
guys.
podcast. So it's going to
Guys,
be
he looks
fun to
ridiculous.
go through. And I'm going to be able to clip some videos where it's like, sun was here and then sun was here.
That's gonna
And
be an
so,
amazing
God.
video. Just like of
yeah,
slowly Aaron's face
it's like a
disappears.
time lapse of the sun coming down. But we are so
Gotta laugh.
grateful to have you guys join us for an awesome podcast.
Yeah, you too,
And
guys.
if anyone listening is interested in Camp Hire, feel free to reach out to Aaron and Esther. What, guys, website coming out soon. So
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, but we still have a
We have
website.
a website.
Yeah,
We have a
yeah.
website.
Okay.
It's just
Gotcha.
gonna
I
look
don't know.
really awesome in about 2 weeks.
Oh,
But yeah, also
okay.
info at camphire.com. You can email us or yeah.
Beautiful. We love it. All right,
Yeah.
Elevation Nation.
You guys are
Until
awesome.
next week. Peace.
Bye.
Well,
Thanks for tuning in to Elevation Nation. If you enjoyed our conversation, hit that subscribe button to get notified when we release a new episode. If you would like to join Elevation Nation or get more information about the nation, please visit our website at www.elevationnation.io. Until next week, Elevation Nation, peace.